As I mentioned, it's Friday, beautiful Friday, and as usual, we've got our incredible feature with Edward Chamberlain Bell. He's looking magnificent, he's looking ready, and he's quite an inspirational individual. And if you do know him, and if you are part of the lifestyle of Johannesburg, and you do get those seats when elite exclusive deals come out, he's a very pleasant and approachable person. You wouldn't think that he's so well sought after. And I mentioned there's so many brands that are willing and able and basically are in his pipeline of work to do. But for those of you who don't know Edward, he's of course he's more famously known as JoziStyle, and he's quite a well-renowned reviewer. And I wouldn't really like to call him an influencer because at the moment people are a bit
influencer is my least favorite word.
Yes,
I hate it.
My goodness, and they're so confused about it. So I will not toss you into that shark tank. How are you, Edward?
I'm very good in yourself.
I'm great. I'm always happy to be around you. Your energy is always incredible. So we've been having this show for just a small while, and we've had some competitions as well. And tonight we're also allowing that opportunity to engage with Edward. But we did have the Sona. The president has told us that the country is not completely burning down, Edward, and you know that, of course, because
there's so much happening in Johannesburg and South Africa. So for all the doom and gloom and the bad news that we read about corruption, for example, yes, it exists, but it's a band-aid on a wound. It's not the entire country. No, the country's not dead.
Of course, we know that because you've got various reviews for us. And one of the main topics we are talking about, of course, is your favorite pet peeves and things that you like and you don't like, and especially maybe restaurant experiences and what your favorite restaurant experience is. And we know Johannesburg is quite diverse and eclectic, and the stereotypes don't really reflect the manner of the diverse dishes and all those kind of things. But Edward, maybe we can ask you, the expert, instead of pandering, what is your most favorite restaurant experience? Do you start with the good or the bad first?
I normally start with a general overview of a restaurant, what it's like, what I enjoy, and then I'd lead on to what is my highlight, what is a standout point that really impressed me the most. And it can be anything as simple as a really courteous waiter who goes out of their way to offer me really great service. I normally mention a low light, something that didn't work for me. And if I mention a low light or a critique, I always try to mention a solution. It's very easy to say the barbecue sauce was salty or the barbecue sauce was too thick. Why not offer a solution and say, if they'd thinned it out with some vinegar, with some lemon juice, it would have made it more tangy and spread it out a bit. Or I know a lot of restaurants are fond of stacking all their ingredients, their components, their dish on top of each other. Instead of saying the lettuce was wilted, maybe offer a solution and say maybe putting the hot chicken breast to the side of the lettuce would have made for better presentation and a better dining experience. And one of my favorite criticisms I made of a restaurant, and this was at a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, and some restaurants got into the habit of serving soup in these vase-shaped soup bowls, which are impossible to get your spoon into because you've got to dip into the bowl at a 180-degree angle or a 90-degree angle. And by the time you get your spoon out, there's obviously no soup. Yeah. Basically, they're serving soup in shooter glasses and they expect you to eat it with a spoon. And at this one particular restaurant, I just decided I don't care how much it costs or how fancy it is. I'm paying for it. I'm just going to throw it back. But I mentioned a review where I said it created an inelegant dining experience, having to eat at this 180-degree angle. And it was a couple of months later, I was invited to a restaurant launch, and I ended up sitting next to the chef at this restaurant. And we didn't put two and two together, but we were just chatting. And I happened to mention that we had spent the night at the hotel where he was cooking, and I happened to mention it was during restaurant week. And he turned around and he said, "Are you the guy who called my restaurant an inelegant dining experience?" He was so specific with the words.
It's in his mind.
I sort of rolled my eyes and I said, something I might have said. And then I said, no, I did say, because I've always also adopted this attitude. If I'm going to say something critical about your restaurant, I should be able to say it to your face. I'm not one of those people that goes and trashes restaurants behind their backs and then runs and hides.
Surely that's not sustainable. And would you say that there's because feedback is important, it surely is, and then the review relationship between the restaurants and the reviewers are quite important.
I think constructive feedback, any chef who can't accept constructive feedback should get out the kitchen. But there are a lot of people who trash restaurants for whatever reason, and they can't offer solutions and they're not being constructive. I've seen people complaining about their toast at the Wimpy and tweeting about it. And I think and they'll tag me because they expect to get a reaction. And I think you're sitting in the restaurant, call the manager, let the manager fix it. And I don't know if you really want to tell people that you're unfamiliar with toast when you go to the Wimpy, but that's not the kind of tweet that I would have posted. I just thought, call the manager, you're there. I didn't need to know about it. And the toast was perfect. It was the best of both worlds. Toasted on the inside and bready on the inside. Sorry, toasted on the outside and bready on the inside. That's your standard toasted sandwich everywhere around the world. So I just thought people love to complain.
And of course, we're talking to one person who's taking a review, into, I think, made it into his own style, because we'll be talking also about dying JoziStyle.
Yes.
And what that means, because we are trying to create cultural environments of enjoyment where we can actually experience at the best level the travel, the restaurants, and also a competition that we need to look out for. You can listen into that. First of all, just before we get into the competition, Edward, can you tell us more about what Dine JoziStyle is?
Dine JoziStyle, in a nutshell, is a social media foodie meetup.
Look at that.
I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but I've tried to actually condense it into something smaller. And the reason why I created it was I was looking to create content for my blog. And I also wanted to create social media engagement for restaurants, because it works towards the restaurant's advantage. If you invite the right people, you get a lot of exposure. But I also wanted to incorporate a lot of media and social media influencers coming to various restaurants and promoting them. I've always only had one rule with Dine JoziStyle, and that is no gushing. If you've got an honest opinion, express it. If you don't like it, if it's too hot, too cold, too spicy, express it. But then you also have to live by your word. Because I see a lot of social media influencers who gush how much they love everything because they got it for free. And I think, yeah, you got something for free. And often they get trashed. This is what scares me. They get complete trash and they pretend that the world has changed forever because they got something. I'm not going to mention names. But you look at products. I mean, for example, if you gave me a Chanel aftershave and I raved about it, I mean, you can believe me.
Yes, of course.
But if you gave me a nasty aftershave, it was like 75 Rand at your local supermarket, nobody's going to believe me if I rave about that. So I've always had that rule, don't gush, be authentic. And this is where I found we've done about 30 Dine JoziStyles over the years. And this is where I found they've evolved from, instead of me inviting media, because media also get very blasé. You get invited to so many things.
It's desensitized, really.
You do get desensitized. And I had lots of family and friends asking, could they be invited? And I said, well, I look at your followers and I look at your leverage. It's a business proposition for restaurants. I don't mind telling my family.
You're not so are you the famous person who doesn't add +1s? Are you the enemy of the family, or are you the enemy of acquaintances?
This is changing. I used to have a rule, no +1s, because a +1 is an expense that doesn't offer value.
Right.
And over time I found family, friends, followers asking, could we be invited? And I said, well, no, not really, because I look at your followers and your leverage. I need people of value. But then I thought, mix it up. And then I started giving away, if I had 10 seats for media,
Smart.
I would give, I think so. Thank you. Thank you. I would give away 2 tickets or 2 seats as a competition to my followers. And it just worked out really very well. And it's fun to meet people who follow you. And you know, it's like this media celebrity lifestyle. I'm going to use air apostrophe there, because people have no idea how much hard work goes into being a media.
I mean, look at you. If you could see him right now, he's literally ready for TV.
I'm ready for bed, actually. It is like 2:15 in the morning. I know, and actually I'm not complaining, because I know a lot of our listeners are actually working right now. Those late night shift workers, especially the guys and the ladies working night shift at 7:02. I mean, it's hard work. So people see the glamorous side.
Sorry, I don't want to skip it. I think it's such an important element. Reviews. How important are reviews? Because people are stuck when you talk about reviews, people think negativity. Hello Peter complains, oh my gosh, my restaurant's going to be trashed by all these social media monsters who I don't know where they come from. But of course, if you understand that it's easier for your friend to sell you something than a brand to sell you something.
Yes.
You're more open to it. So how important are reviews, and how should restaurants or any type of product or service prepare themselves for leveraging of good reviews and experiences?
I think there's no such thing as a bad review. Any review that offers exposure to your destination is a bonus. And if you get authentic reviews, that means the world of difference to any brand or restaurant. But I often find you get people who get a lot of free invites, and they get invited to dine at various restaurants for free, and they love everything. That restaurant that I said was an inelegant dining experience was a free overnight stay worth 5,000 Rand. And somebody said to me,
he has the goal to review us like this after we spent so much money on him.
well, I was going to say something else, but I'm glad you said goal. Difference between a G and a B. But the thing is, and I'm good friends with a publicist as well, she knows my sense of humor, and it was a valid point. But coming back
I
to...
love that it's almost like an ecosystem, because the restaurant, it's the person who you work with in media, and it's you. You resonate with the brands that you and it's an authentic review. Sorry, it's just it works out so well.
The best news was when I was sitting next to the chef literally a year later, and he said, were you the guy who called my soup an inelegant dining experience? And I said, yes, I was. And he said, that was so helpful. They listened to the podcast. He said that day they went and changed the soup bowls. And obviously you sometimes need that sort of feedback from a third party. I look at sometimes things are meant to be eaten with your fingers, or sometimes they're meant to be eaten with certain cutlery. And in the restaurant's perspective, this is great. But for the average diner going there, it's like, well, this doesn't make sense to me. So I just think I always try to be constructive. I try and add a sense of humor, and I don't want to trash something. I don't want to be that person where everything is wrong. And also, it's like, boo-hoo-hoo, this restaurant is charging this hotel is charging 5,000 Rand a night for you to stay there as a guest. Do they really care and it's a really fine dining, 5-star destination, do they really care if I thought that their soup was inelegant? But the rest of the menu I thought was fantastic. It was fabulous.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean,
Is that?
and this is what I find, it's like chefs sometimes like to hear meaningful criticism. I know every chef's worst nightmare is somebody goes onto Zomato and bitches about them. Excuse my French, but I assume no children are listening at this hour. But every chef sees lots of negativity coming up, and there's this horrible Facebook page, the good, the bad, and the ugly for restaurants, and Rate My Plate, where really they just go on, and there's no intelligence, there's no wit, there's no understanding of what the restaurant has gone.
No insights.
Yeah. So I always think if you can say 3 positive things of a restaurant, you're allowed to say 1 negative. If it is something that was avoidable, or maybe it was an accident, you can look over it. But if it is something that is going to perpetuate itself every single time a new diner goes to that restaurant, for example, all their tomato sauces were like oily and separating, or for example, a white sauce was lumpy. That to me is unforgivable. Mention, hey, we had a lumpy lasagna. That's not so cool. But
I like that tone. It's not like you got your daggers out and your pitchforks. Of course, if you've just joined in, we're talking to Edward Chamberlain-Bell. He is our in-house, would you call him, connoisseur of the nicer things in life. Of course, we are talking about his Dine JoziStyle initiative, and we've got the best. How do you even choose these people? How do you find who is and if our listeners are of course listening in, how do they become part of Dine JoziStyle?
Previously, when I was choosing media and influencers, I looked at variety and different platforms, different age groups as well. But now what I've actually done is, and a big thing with media is being able to invite your +1. So now what I've actually done is I only invite followers, and now that I'm on radio 702 today, what I do is I choose somebody who is a listener, I choose somebody from Facebook and Twitter, and somebody who follows my blog. So at least there's a nice mixture. And I'll go into detail later, but a couple of the competitions and giveaways that we've run on 702 these last 3-4 weeks, we've actually made a point of choosing 702 listeners. I would like to get to the point where we can interact with them on air, but let me find my feet and my wings first. but a lot of 702 listeners have gone and retweeted and shared the competition, or they've messaged me and said, we really loved hearing the show, we'd love to go to your restaurant. And I think if somebody is listening to the show at, well, it's like almost 2:30 in the morning now, if somebody can stay up and take the effort to actually send me feedback or to tweet or message me on my blog, I think one of those 702 listeners deserves to be a winner.
And of course, it's at JoziStyle.
It's at JoziStyle on Twitter. It's actually JoziStyle everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And the blog is jozystyle.joburg.
I think you need to start some lessons with this. You've almost made this, you've crafted this into something that has a return on investment, because as you mentioned, and I was so archaic even when I mentioned Blue Peter, because this is far beyond it. So in that review, because we want our views from our listeners as well, please do, as Edward called in, if you are a foodie, if you like lifestyle, if you are that person who follows him, and you know some of the things that he does, I've even made my own notes to go with friends, so I just sound a bit more refined when they come to Johannesburg. You can check him out and enter the competition at JoziStyle. You can also SMS us on 31702 and also on 072-702-1702. So talking about these, maybe let's talk about some of the reviews that we have about Cream. You had an experience with Cream. How was that? Was it good?
Cream was awesome. I just want to interrupt to say one thing quickly. We're going to mention the 3 Dine JoziStyle giveaways that we've got for 702 listeners, where 5 couples. So to answer your question about plus ones, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, boyfriends and boyfriends, girlfriends and girlfriends, we don't judge. Everybody who wants to come can actually enter. Quickest way is just to go onto Twitter. I've pinned those 3 restaurants at the top of my Twitter account at JoziStyle, and the hashtag is DineJoziStyle at Radio 702. So we've also got to include Radio 702.
Oh wow! Okay.
So listeners can actually go onto Twitter and they'll find all those competitions. All you'd have to do is retweet. And this is what I find interesting, not only for the restaurants and also for the station, for myself, but I've noticed, I know that 702 listeners are engaged with us at this unearthly hour.
There's a SMS right now responding to what you were saying.
Oh, awesome! I'd like to hear.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at people who are insomniacs like us, or if you're looking at people who are working night shifts, I can actually see that engagement coming from after 702. My blog statistics literally triple on those Fridays.
Wow.
Let's hear that question, and then I'll tell you about the.
One of our listeners who'd like to engage with Edward is. She says that I deserve it. Listening in at this hour, loving it. It's from Switzerland. I don't know if you're Switzerland or you're listening in from Switzerland, but I think it is special. You've made the extra effort, and maybe we could post you something. But we are of course running this competition. They're just saying that they deserve it. They just hear how you are basically. Reviewing everything, and it sounds so amazing, Edward. And
do we have a name for this person?
I'm not sure the name. It says Switzerland at the end. I'm not sure. They didn't mention the name. Is it Samantha? Yes, it's Samantha.
Samantha from Switzerland.
I think it's Samantha from Samantha. Yeah, it's from Samantha in Switzerland.
Okay, I'll tell you this much. We're going to take a chance, Samantha. If you're not in Switzerland but you are in Johannesburg, on one of the days we're having these Dine JoziStyles, you're an instant winner. Just because we think that you deserve it. But you don't even know what the restaurants are, so at least hear the restaurants before you decide that you want to go to them. But I assure you, you want to go to them. Okay, let's go into the restaurants. I'll tell you about the restaurants. And then when I started doing Dine JoziStyle, one of the first restaurants we went to was Lone Hill Waterfront. And it took me a year to get it off the ground because publicists didn't buy into the idea that they'd invite media to their events, which is why they invited me, but they wouldn't invite social media because at the time, social media and influencers didn't really feature on the landscape. But I pulled in about 12 social media influencers and we trended. It just went insane.
Sorry, no, I've got so much to ask you, but carry on. I'll disturb you later. Look, it's Lone Hill. What was it?
Lone Hill Waterfront. Stunning place to go to if you're in Lone Hill or you feel like driving out to Lone Hill. That opened the door for me to do more Dine JoziStyles, and there's always been a Dine JoziStyle hashtag across the social media platforms, and Cream was the last one that we did. And I'd like to talk about Cream later on another show because I really want to do them justice.
No problem.
But every time I've done a Dine JoziStyle, I've always thought I've got to do it bigger and better. And now I've just decided it's no longer a media event, it is a public event. I want to take followers and listeners with me to really great restaurants. But Cream was quite interesting because Ramon, the manager, told me he's going to do something different by not telling me what he's serving. So basically, we told our followers...
Not his name,
Ramon. Ramon at Cream. Anybody goes to Cream, tell Ramon that Edward says hi. Because I do owe him a blog review and I keep delaying it.
And you ate his food.
Not only did I eat his food, I drank his drink. But what he did for us was very special, is he created mystery dinners. So we took 2 other couples with us and my partner, so there were 6 of us, and none of us knew what we were getting, and each person, we alternated a different dish. Obviously we checked that they didn't have any allergies to seafood or to nuts or anything along those lines. Anyhow, we'll do Cream another day. We've got 3 restaurants. All of them are valued at about 800 Rand, 1,000 Rand per couple. They're not expensive restaurants. They're very family-orientated, budget-friendly restaurants. I did review 2 of them. I reviewed Calexico last week, which is very much a fusion restaurant of Mexican and Californian cuisine.
Sorry, would you spell that for us? I just don't want to be...
Cal as in California.
All right.
And then Exico as in Mexico.
Interesting, okay.
It's a portmanteau.
You say it how you spell it.
You say it how you spell it, and you spell it how you say it.
What's the feel there? Because a lot of restaurants are about aesthetic. So as soon as you walk in, because a dining experience is visual, it's sensual, it's yours. All of your senses are. I think a good restaurateur would let you know that, and from the most basic level, it's that sizzle and smell you see and the preparation and the anticipation that it creates. So can you tell us more about what the aesthetic was at Calexico?
Calexico is unlike any restaurant that you've ever seen. It's very eclectic, it's very tasteful. It's eclectic and tasteful, it's colourful, vibrant and funky and sophisticated to a certain extent, as, and I know I'm going to sound like a Trump supporter, but as sophisticated as what Mexican art can go. But they've got vinyl art, they've got chill out lounges, it's just an incredible restaurant. I've blogged it and I've shared it. People can actually go onto Twitter and they'll see my videos and they'll get an idea.
You make it sound so exciting.
It is actually a very exciting restaurant.
I have social anxiety, so you're kind of coaxing me out into this, and I'm very interested.
Well, I'd love it if you came to join us to one of our Dine JoziStyles if you wanted to. So, go onto Twitter, you'll see the videos.
Mexico, yeah?
We are talking all over the place. It's this witching hour, my brain is sizzled. So, one of the Dine JoziStyles we're hosting 5 couples. They're going to come with us, they're going to experience the Calexico experience. They've also got a vinyl evening, it's going to be on a Friday night, so if you enjoy a funky, this is how I see it, funky food and funky vinyl with the DJs playing on a Friday, so it's going to be a funky Friday. Let me just double check the date for Calexico. I have got on the blog and we have shared it.
You know what the thing is with Johannesburg, and I come from the coast, so we seem to think because we've got more natural environment, we're more interesting, and we have this idea that Johannesburg is just clubs and drinking, and you go home and you try not to get arrested, and it's just that, and that's all it is. But when you talk about what is that perception about Johannesburg, and I mean these experiences that seem like they're a completely different province.
I think this is where Johannesburgers know how to align themselves with international trends, and they can pull themselves out of the neighborhood that they're stuck in and say, oh, we're just Johannesburg, let's do something. But Johannesburg restaurateurs, I've noticed, the really great ones, pick up on international trends, they bring it into South Africa, but they make it South African. It's one of the restaurants I want to talk about now, who really just like epitomizes African fusion cuisine. And I know often, and I was saying this a while ago, and I don't want to sound repetitive, but you often think of African cuisine as being pap and moroho,
in those small dishes.
Those small dishes. And mapani worms and locusts. I mean, people really do think that we live on pestilence and plague in Africa in general. And yet we've got the best food in terms of fruit, vegetables, in terms of meat and seafood. We have got incredible food. The only unfortunate thing is often our best produce is exported overseas.
Of course.
But we still have, and also our food is relatively cheap, despite the economy and different salaries and incomes. We really do have great quality food. Okay, we'll say it one more time. There are 3 restaurants where we're hosting a Dine JoziStyle that 702 listeners can join us. We are going to go to the Voodoo Lily Cafe. That is Wednesday, 13th of February. That's valued at 800 Rand. And it is in the Birdhaven area. It is actually a very funky family community-based meeting point where everybody just finds something to eat. And then also what I love, I was asked last week what are child-friendly restaurants, and I don't have children, and ideally I go to restaurants that aren't child-friendly, but Voodoo Lily Cafe is child-friendly, and now they're okay, this is a different story. During the day they're child-friendly, but now they're opening at night. So if you want to join us, one of 5 double seats, all you have to do is go into JoziStyle, retweet. The second restaurant that we are doing is, and I reviewed them last week because they've got some fabulous Valentine's Day specials, and that is Arbor Cafe Courtyard, also in Birdhaven, but this is going to be more of a Parisian, a French cafe bistro styled dining experience.
We love bistros.
We love bistros.
What is a bistro? Beyond just seeing bistro and getting excited that there's going to be, you think of this idea of enriching and lovely, wholesome food. What is a bistro?
Okay, now that I don't have Google in front of me or internet access, my opinion of a bistro is a relaxed restaurant as opposed to a more formal dining experience. It's more relaxed. The food is more comfort food. It is, and very much like the kind of restaurant that you can drop in and out of.
Wholesome.
I would not necessarily even wholesome, but, and I think gastropubs have sort of picked up from, I love the way you flinch. Gastropubs have picked up from bistros and taken it to the next level.
Yeah.
Good question. I hope nobody, I'm going to Google that when I get home, the exact definition of a bistro.
It's very generalized. Everyone, it's subjective at this stage when it comes to that. But we are looking at these amazing 3 restaurants. We've got in Birdhaven. You started, of course, with one of them you just mentioned now.
Lexico, which is in Stanley Street, Auckland Park, and then Arbor Cafe and Voodoo Lily, which are in Birdhaven. They're all happening within the next 2 weeks, and if people want to win,
a short period of time. Whew. No,
I move fast.
I'm excited because I'm like, sheesh, so you're giving away. Edward is the gift that keeps on giving. So you can contact him. Please don't miss out. Don't say we didn't mention it. And we do have, I don't know if you do have actual winners from the previous competition.
I'm going to give you the winners now.
Right.
Let me just quickly find.
So we're not peddlers of fake news.
I would never. It is actually the Consumer Protection Act protects people with competitions in in South Africa. You may not run a competition in South Africa unless you have an actual prize. You've got to announce a starting date, an end date, and a value. And you may not deviate from that. You can't push it or extend it, and you can't change the value. You can always have a clause like subject to availability, blah, 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 blah. But the Consumer Protection Act, when it comes to competition, is very strict. And I know sometimes people run fake competitions or they cancel them. Or my personal favorite, I want to warn people.
That is so unsustainable though.
The thing is, the consumer is not stupid. And it amazes and amuses me when I see bloggers running competitions saying the winner will be notified by email. In the interest of transparency, you have to announce the winner. And I have mixed feelings if a friend enters my competition. Of course. If they enter legitimately, I can't disqualify them. But at the same time, a lot of my followers actually send me Facebook friendship requests. And now they're a friend or a follower, and if they enter, so I just have a rule, if it's family, I will give them tickets of my own to give away. I never give tickets to bona fide friends and family. So and often sometimes publicists will give me 20 tickets to give away. So I'll advertise 10 for listeners or blog followers or social media followers, and then I'll tell my friends on the side, some extra tickets. But you never want to be the kind of blog or publication who gives away prizes to your friends. And I'm not going to mention names, but there's a common story, a well-respected publication, hardcover magazine. the publicist noticed that the winners always lived at the same address. And it turned out that the lady at this magazine was sending all the prizes to her mother's house. So they realized, and they also decided themselves, we're not going to run competitions if it's always going to their mother. So if I get 5 prizes, and I'm always upfront with the publicist, I say, hey, listen here, you've given me 5 tickets, I'm going to give 2 to friends and 3 to followers. So I'd really like
transparency.
And I'd like Radio 702 listeners to know that if they engage with us online, or if they call in, or if they SMS us, there's a strong chance. Our Chateau Gatter, I don't understand this. I can give away a weekend getaway for 10,000 Rand and nobody's interested. I give away a cake from Chateau.
A marvelous cake, by the way.
Oh yes, you were here. We were celebrating Mozart's birthday. But our winners were Lexi Van, Lazarus Ricozzo, and Nicoline Meading. And Chateau Gatter was very good because within the hour that I sent, and obviously our producer confirmed the 702 winners, and I pulled people off social media as well. Within an hour of me sending the names to Chateau Gatter, the winners had already received their vouchers. And I think that is very impressive.
Can we talk about that giveaway aspect? How important are they? Because as you say, can they hurt or can they make your brand more accessible? And that, because exclusivity, we know we really like exclusivity.
Yes.
We like feeling special. We like feeling like we're better than the rest. How can you
I don't know why you're looking at me.
How can you do competitions and giveaways in a way in which it enhances that prestige, because and it more importantly resonates with your brand or service?
I find when you understand what your brand is about, when you understand what your followers are looking for, you will have an idea of what sort of prizes will appeal to them. And I have had brands that have asked me to, I have had brands that have asked me to give away things, and I just think my followers are not going to engage for dishwashing liquids. So give that to somebody else. And they're not going to get excited about...
I love how honest you are with yourself, because you could find that, you could stretch for it and be like that relation and say, I do wash dishes, come on, bring it.
We don't all wash dishes, fortunately, but nobody's going to get excited about dishwashing liquid. And even I look at, say, for example, skincare. I've had a few, and I'm not the kind of person who says that expensive skincare is always better than, or not necessarily better than, cheaper skincare. But I've noticed I've always worked with very prestigious skincare brands, and I've worked with some really innovative.
And your skin is glowing, by the way, if you could see it.
Well, if you knew how hot the studio was, everybody's skin could glow. But I've also worked with some very dynamic and cutting edge aesthetic clinics. I mean, I've had a vampire facial, I've had Botox, and I've had fillers. I've had lots of things done. Only thing I've never had done is a nose job. So if anybody out there
vicious rumors
would like to be reviewed in 702, I'm open to cosmetic surgery. But so I actually found working with like really prestigious brands attracted the attention of other prestigious brands. Now, if I suddenly went to not a down market brand, but a budget brand, suddenly my brand message gets confused. And I love watching some other bloggers who are very enthusiastic about promoting a 59 Rand hand cream that you can pick up at the supermarkets. And then they want to know, why do you get a 300 Rand hand cream? It's because my brand association is only with those top-end brands.
And would you say that's brand affinity?
That is definitely brand affinity.
And for those viewers of us who don't know these jargon terms, can you explain with your expert opinion about what exactly brand affinity is? What is brand affinity?
I think brand affinity is something that you have an affinity for, something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about. I'm not going to get passionate and excited about talking about beer, and even if I tried, people would hear. I did actually interview somebody about beer once, and it was the longest 20 minutes of my life, because it was beer. You open the can and you drink it and you get a beer belly. That's all I know. But I could talk about wine and champagne or cocktails, and so that to me is brand affinity. Okay. But I also look at, I've been very blessed and privileged to go to some of the best hotels in Johannesburg and around South Africa. And I specifically recall one hotel telling their publicist, the reason why they like working with me is you have never seen me in a commercial I'm trying to be very nice without mentioning names. You've never seen me at a inexpensive, budget-orientated hotel. I've always been in great hotels, great restaurants. And it's normally 5-star, front row, first class. So if I go to all these restaurants and hotels, all the other restaurants and hotels want me back again. If I'm suddenly seen eating or posting that I'm eating a burger at a drive-thru, well, then I've just lost my brand affinity, because then I look like an envelope chaser.
Okay.
And I've actually learned this once, and I won't mention the brand, but it is a popular milk and fruit combination soft drink, and people can work it out for themselves. They've got a survivor bash on South African television, but they asked me if I'd give away a 5,000 Rand gift hamper, and I said, sure, but pay me. It's like, the 5,000 Rand gift voucher means nothing to me or my followers. And they said, well, they don't have budget. And I thought, but you're creating a celebrity TV show around your delicious fruit-flavored milk infusion.
With a marketing budget, surely.
No, exactly. And I sort of had this, like, not that I had a wavering of faith, but I just mentioned to my husband, I said, the sad thing is, the 5,000 Rand prize is worth something. And even if I'm not going to get paid, the fact is, if I get difficult and say no, they're going to give it to somebody else who's going to do it. So I thought I may as well get that leverage. And it did come around back to bite me, because people said, you are not the kind of person that drinks processed milk, whatever. And then I actually made a joke of it. I said, listen, yeah, because a lot of people were giving me a hard time and joking about it. And I said, listen, yeah, I said I'd give it away. I never said I was going to drink it. But I've also learned from then, it's the second time when they approached me, I thought, there's certain things I can do in an ironic way, but that's not something I could do in an ironic way. So, and I have had other brands that have said, there was an event where you had commoner tickets and you had gladiator tickets, and they offered me commoner tickets, and I thought, you know what, I try and create the best experiences possible for my listeners and also for my followers. I'm not giving away commoner tickets. So if you can't upgrade them, then I'm not running the competition. And then I saw other people doing the commoner tickets, and I thought, amen to you. You give away the cheap stuff, I'll give away the good stuff. So I think it's very important, brand alignment, and people must know what you stand for.
And of course, we'll be wrapping up the show, and just giving you a chance to respond as well to Edward's competition. You can check him out on Twitter at JoziStyle, talking about Dine JoziStyle, which is an incredible group of individuals, foodies, and it's open to the public now, influencers and all those kind of people. Initially it was a media exercise, quite successful, and now we know that Edward is doing something that is quite popular in South Africa, opening up the industry. So please do send your SMSs. After the break, we'll be wrapping up the show. He's giving away an incredible experience to 3 different restaurants. We'll tell you more about that as we wrap up after the break. It's 17 minutes before 3 a.m.
You avoid the coffee station on Monday.
It's amazing how fast time flies. And like, I've got like 10 pages
I
open.
feel much better now than last week, because I feel like I didn't really do justice the first time we did it, and I was so unprepared. I'm unprepared now, but at least now I understand how.
Well, I'm actually unprepared. I'm sort of reading, and I'm trying to think.
So what should we finish off with, just in the last 6 to 5 minutes?
I think we've actually done enough restaurant talk.
Don't miss Weekend Breakfast with Pimelo
We've got
Because I'm picking up
15 minutes.
let's do 6 minutes. Let's just wrap it up. We don't want to drag it for too long.
No. I'll actually save all of this for next week because I've got it. What I'd like to do is I'd like to do Mark Lottering and then do Andre the Hilarious Hypnotist.
What would you like to say about Mark Lottering?
Oh, yes, just brilliant. Funny, funny, funny.
Are you giving away tickets? Are you?
No, we gave away tickets.
So what aspect would you like to talk about?
Just recommend that people go and see it.
Recommendations, and then what was our second one? Sorry.
And then Andre the Hilarious Hypnotist. Yeah, and then I can crunch both of those in 3 minutes.
But we're not only just about eating on events as well.
Yeah, I know, I'm thinking, so let's keep, I've got 2 travel destinations, but we can do that later. But this is also what happens, is you get engaged in a topic, and it's so exciting, and you just want to
it's too long.
From your side, you want to know more, and from me, I want to talk more. And then you look at the clock and you realize, oh God, half an hour has gone past. And
That's why I feel bad, because we need to literally, when you get your topics, allocate them time so that others go.
I did allocate time, but no, it's fine. It's not your fault. It's like, but I also think if you're creating engaging conversation, people who are listening don't know that you're doing these bullet points. They just hear the flow of the conversation.